Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. Sunil here. Welcome to the session. Can you hear me? If yes, please type yes in the chat box as a confirmation. Thank you, Bhagi. Thank you all for your confirmations. Thank you, Ola. Thank you very much for your confirmations. Let us stop the chat. Let us stop the chat. What's our plan for today? I hope you remember in our previous session, we got an error. We got an error when we are planning to add the Windows 10 to the domain controller. We'll continue from that step. We'll learn how can we add a client machine. When I say client machine, I refer to the Windows 10 machine to the domain controller. That's very, very important point. I'll also discuss why did we get this error in our previous session. And then once the machine gets added, we can also see the list of machines in the domain controller. In continuation to that, we'll also learn how can we create a new Active Directory user. Okay, what is Active Directory user and how to create an Active Directory user. And these Active Directory users will be using the client machines to log in to perform their day-to-day activities. Okay, so this is our plan for today's session. Okay, so let's get started. I hope you remember. I hope you remember. We have created two virtual machines. We have created two virtual machines. One Windows Server machine and Windows Client machine. Client machine. When I say client machine, in other words, it could be Windows 10 or Windows 7 or any other machine. Okay, so we have created two virtual machines to experience the practicals. So let me show you those machines. This is the Windows Server machine. This is the Windows Server machine. And this is the Windows 10 machine. We have server machine. We also have a client machine. Both the machines are ready now. Okay. One important point. One important point. The reason we got an error in the previous session. Let me open the notes. Is related to VM settings. Quick recap of what is Active Directory. Active Directory is a service and set of services that helps to manage users, groups, and machines. Okay, you can manage machines, you can manage groups, you can manage users. Okay, its goal is to give safe and centralized management over the network resources. Okay, if anyone wants to have a centralized administration with respect to all the client machines, that is possible using Active Directory. We also have installed Active Directory service. We have installed Active Directory role. Where can we see the roles which we have installed? Participants, where can we see the roles what we have installed in the server machine? In the server machine, go to server manager. The most frequently option as a Windows administrator is server manager. Please go to the server manager. You will find the list of roles installed in the server manager. We have installed 5 roles. Out of this 5 roles, our context is working with the Active Directory. Our context is Active Directory domain services. Okay. Now, go to tools. Go to tools. Can you see participants? We have Active Directory users and computers. We have Active Directory users and computers. Under computers. Okay, let me remove this. This is what I have tried it before the session. Under the domain, I hope you remember, we have created a domain tcl.com. We have created a domain. It's very important for you to practice. I hope you also have created domain. Practice is very, very important. I hope you have installed VMware. I hope you have installed, you have downloaded the ISO files which I have provided to you. I hope you have created a Windows Server virtual machine. Okay. And I hope you have created a domain. My domain is in our example is tcl.com. Under this domain, can you see we do not have any computers as of now? We do not have any computers. We have not added any missions to the domain. We have not added any missions to the domain. My plan for now is to add this particular Windows 10 mission to the domain. Okay. My plan for now is to add this particular Windows 10 mission to the domain. Okay. Perfect. When we have tried to add it, we got an error in the previous session. Okay. So now we'll be doing it now. I'll also show you why did we get the error. We got the error because of virtualization settings. We got the error because of virtualization settings. Okay. Now, very important. Under Active Directory users and computers, you can see here under tcl.com under computers, there are no items. We have no computers installed. Okay. Now, very important point. All this we have completed yesterday in the previous session, not yesterday. Now, in the Windows Server virtual machine, there should be a small VM settings which needs to be done. Small virtual machine settings needs to be done. Okay. Under VM, go to settings. Under network adapter, go to custom and select a particular network adapter. Let's say I'm selecting VMNet2. You can select any adapter. Okay, so I'm selecting VMNet2. Let me complete this particular step. In Windows Server, go to virtual machines, go to settings, go to network adapter. Previously, I hope you remember I was selecting bridged. Do you remember I have selected bridge network and replicate the physical network? Now I'm changing it to custom, and you have a lot of custom virtual networks. You can select anything. You can, it need not be always VMNet2. You can go for VMNet5 or any number. Okay, so I'm selecting VMNet2. Click on OK. This means that all the machines are connected to the same switch physically. Physically, all the machines should be connected to the same switch, isn't it? So that's what I'm showing here. So this is the VMNet2, which I have selected in the Windows Server version. In the same way, in the Windows 10 machine also, the same network adapter should be selected, that is VMNet2. Let me do that. I'm now pointing to Windows 10. This is a Windows 10 machine. Okay. VM, settings, adapter settings. I hope you remember previously I asked you to select bridged. I change it to bridge to custom and I'm selecting VMNet2. Click on OK. Okay. Click on OK. Perfect. So let's go to in the Windows 10 machine. Go to network adapters. Go to properties. Change in adapter options. So it has, this is the IP address. I hope you remember. I have allocated 1.0.0.2. I already have done this in the previous session. Okay. That's okay. It's just for information. Next. One more important point of observation. This PC, properties, advanced system settings, computer name. Right now, computer name we already have provided as TCL-client-none. Right now, you can see a work group is by default work group. Work group is defaulted to work group. Okay. Now I want to change the domain. I want to change the domain. So click on change option. That's what I have mentioned here. Let's change the work group in the Windows 10. So go to change the computer name. Under computer name, we have a change button. I want to add this particular Windows 10 machine. I want to add this particular Windows 10 machine to a domain. I already have created a domain. Do you remember the name of the domain in the Windows server is tcl.com? If you want, you can verify it in the Windows server. Properties. The domain what we have created is tcl.com. Quick recap. Now I want to add the client machine, the Windows 10 machine to this particular TCL domain, tcl.com. So go to Windows 10 VM, go to domain and mention the domain name tcl.com. I'm adding the Windows 10 machine to this particular domain. Click on OK. You need to provide the Windows Server Administrator username and password. The username is administrator. It is training at 1 to 3. That's what we have defined. Welcome to the TCL domain. So this particular client machine, that is nothing but Windows 10 machine, is added successfully to the domain. Click on OK. You must restart your computer to apply. Before restarting, save the files. That's fine. I click on OK. I click on close and restart now. Okay. So I have added the client machine to the domain. Let's wait for the machine to get restarted. I think the restart has been completed. Now go to Windows Server machine. Go to the Server Manager, Tools, Active Directory, Users and Computers. We have added one computer to the Active Directory. Go to Users and Computers. Participants under Computers. As you have observed previously, there was no machine added to the domain. Now you can see one machine added. Which machine? This is the machine name TCL-client-1. This is the machine name. Advanced system settings. You can also see that the computer name is tcl.com. Okay. The full computer name will be tcl.com, tcl-client-1.tcl.com. It had added to the domain. You can see here the machine, the client machine is added to the domain tcl.com. So this is how we can successfully add the machines to the domain. You can see a list of all the machines which are added in the domain controller. As a Windows administrator, you can clearly monitor how many machines has been added. That's the reason good practice to provide a machine name. You can also see the machine name. Okay. And you can also see the operating system of that particular machine. Got it? And all the general details of this particular machine. Got it? Perfect. Like this, you will be adding machines to the domain controller. This is how we have to add the machines to the domain controller. Perfect. Now the machine is added to the domain. We already have seen in the Windows 10, it is clearly reflecting that the machine is part of the domain. The machine is part of the domain. Next. In Windows Server, we all just now verified under tools, under users and computers, we can see the one machine is successfully added. Okay. So we have successfully learned how to add a machine to a domain controller. We have successfully learned how can we add a mission to the domain controller. The next thing what we have to learn is this something called look at this, the Active Directory users and computers. We have learned how to add a computer to the controller. Can you see we have users also? We have Active Directory users. Okay. So when I click on users, these are the default users. These are the default users related to Active Directory. Okay. We have to create Active Directory users. As a Windows administrator, you should also create Active Directory users so that the staff who is working on the client machine should log in from the Active Directory user only. They should log in from the Active Directory user only. So that is the next thing what we are learning now. That is the next thing we are learning now, how to create an Active Directory user. How to create an Active Directory user. Pretty simple. As we have just seen navigated, go to Server Manager, Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers, Domain Name, go to Users, and we have an option called New User. I want to create a user. The name of the user is Virat. The last name is Kohli, and the logon username is Virat. And the password I want to provide to this particular Active Directory user is welcome at 123. Okay, so this is what I want to create. Let me quickly create an Active Directory user. So right now I am inside the domain. Under the domain, I am now pointing to users. Right click here, we have an option called create. We have an option called new. Here we have an option called create a new user. Or you can also go ahead and here we have an option of create a new user. Anything is fine. So I am creating a new user. The name of the user is Virat Kohli. User login VIRAT. By default, it will be @tcl.com. I am creating an Active Directory user. Click on next. User must change the password. I don't want user to change the password. Let it be same password. User cannot change the password. I don't want user to change the password. Use password never expires. So these are the passwords. And the password which I want to provide is welcome at 123. I want to provide a password as welcome at 123. Just follow the documentation. So for this particular Virat user, I'm providing the password as welcome at 123. User cannot change the password. Password never expires. Click on next. So this is the user quick recap. Just review the details. Click on finish. So my dear participants, I have created a Active Directory user. I have created an Active Directory user. Now this Active Directory user, we provide the credentials to the employee. Now employee wants to perform a day-to-day activities. He's logged into the client machine and he has to log in with this particular Active Directory user. Okay. Now in the client machine, I'm signing out. As the Active Directory user is created, I log in with the Active Directory user now in the client machine. Not Windows user. This is not Windows user. Now I'm talking about Active Directory user. Click on other user. Yes, the username is Virat at tcl.com. The password is welcome at 123. You have to observe, my dear participants. Did I create a new user in the Windows 10 machine? That is what you have to observe. Did I create a new user in the Windows 10 machine? No, I have not done it. Everything is under the control of a Windows Server administrator. As an administrator, you should have complete control on the machines as well as the users. So we have created a user. First, we have added a machine to the domain controller. We have created a user in the domain controller, and then using that user, the client's machines are accessed. Please wait. Perfect. Successfully logged in. With which user? You can see here. We have successfully logged in with Virat Kohli is the user which we have created. Got it, my dear participants? Like this. Okay, so users will be logging into the machines and everything is under the control of the server administrator. Next, can we create one more user? Like just now I have created one Virat Kohli. Can I create one more user? Definitely yes. I want to create one more Active Directory user. The name of the user is Sachin Tendulkar and the login name is Sachin and the password is welcome123. So let me quickly create one more new user. We already have learned how can we create a Active Directory user. Let me quickly repeat one more time. So under tools, Active Directory users and computers. Quick recap, we already have added one computer, that's fine. Now you can see the list of users. These are all default users. Okay. And this is a user which we have just now created. Let me create one more user. Right click, we have an option called create. We have an option called new. I want to create a new user. The name of the user is Sachin@tcl.com. Click on next. The password is I want to maintain the same password. Welcome at 123. I'm done. User must not change the password. Password cannot be expired. Password never expires. Click on next. Click on finish. So user has been successfully created. Now the client machine can be used by the Virat user, by Sachin user. Okay. So like this, anybody can use the infrastructure. Now let's go to the client machine. Let's go to the client machine. Let me sign out of the existing user. Have you observed in some corporate companies, especially backup support companies providing operations team, they work in two shifts, morning shift as well as night shift. 24/7 support will be provided to the US based companies from India. So one machine will be logged in by a morning shift employee and the same machine will be logged in by the evening shift employee. Have you observed the infrastructure is the same but should be used by both the resources and it should be under the control, okay? And should under the control of the Windows Server Administrator. So now I log out, I switch user. It's not Virat Kohli, it's other user. This time I write it as Sachin at tcl.com. Password is welcome at 123. Successful. Got it? Have you observed scenarios where corporates will have branches in different parts of the city? For example, very big companies like TCS may have 4 or 5 branches in one city. It could be in Bangalore or it could be Chennai or Hyderabad. An employee should have a facility to log into any particular branch. Okay, it can be any branch in Hyderabad or any branch in Bangalore. He should be able to log in. He can walk into the nearest office and then he can perform his work. So the infrastructure will be already added to the domain controller and the users can log into any particular machine with the credentials. So this all happens by using the Active Directory computers as well as Active Directory users. Okay, now you can see here we have successfully logged in. We have successfully logged in with one more user. So that's the beauty. So we using this Active Directory domain controller, what we have achieved, what we can achieve, we can achieve client will be under the control of the domain controller. All the clients will be under the control of domain controller. You can easily manage and monitor. The policies can be written in such a way that, for example, you want the USB drive to be disabled to a particular machine. especially in banking companies. Okay, for employees who are providing back office support to the banking companies as per their security rules, the machine should not be allowed with USB should be disabled. Yes, you can do it here using the policies. Once the machine is completely under the control of a domain, you can happily control the machines. That's the beauty of it. The client will be under the control of domain controller. You can easily manage and monitor the. You can also monitor the usage also. You can have a complete centralized management of the entire infrastructure. All this can be done by using the concept of Active Directory domain controller. Got it? Perfect. Okay, so this is what I have planned for this particular session. It's a small session. Okay, but I hope it is a very important session. You have understood how to add a client machine to the domain controller, how to create an Active Directory user, how an Active Directory user can be logged into the client machines. It is a simple session. It's a small session and half an hour session, but it's a very important session. And one more important point which I want to mention before closing the session. This is the last demo session. Okay, this is the last demo session. I hope you remember we have started our training on 16th of October. Okay, this is day 4. This is the last demo session. Tomorrow, participants, you have to join using the new Zoom link. You have to join using the new Zoom link. Okay, the new Zoom link will be shared to the paid candidates. Okay, to your registered email address. In case if you're not received the new Zoom link, please email to. I'm sending it in the chat box. Our support mail, I hope you know it. It is logiclabstech.com. I'm sending it. Okay, I've just sent you an email, support at logiclabs.com. Generally, yeah, by default, you'll get it by tomorrow using the new Zoom link. Session at 6 o'clock, right? Session at 5:30, by 2 o'clock afternoon, by 3. Just before a couple of hours, you get the new Zoom link. Please join using the new Zoom link. In case if you're not received it, please check the spam. In case if still you have not received it, send an email to support at logiclabstech.com. Okay, with the proof of payment. Okay, so you will get it, and you will get the new Zoom link so that you can continue your learning on Windows Server Administration from tomorrow. Clear? Before closing, any questions? I hope you have enjoyed the first 4 sessions of the demo sessions. See you tomorrow, where we'll continue. Our concept is to understand IP addresses. Our concept is to understand IP addresses, some understanding about the importance of IP addresses. And the next topic to be discussed is DHCP, Dynamic Host Control Protocol. That's our plan for tomorrow session. Until then, have a good time. Thank you very much.